Hello everyone and welcome to the KJG Helping You Build a Better Business webinar series. We're looking at a number of corporate finance related topics, and today's is on business fundability. What are the key elements to consider when looking at the fundability of your business? There are 8 that we would suggest are worth considering, and we'll run through them in a clockwise direction from the top of this diagram. Cash generation, first item, and rightly so. The ability of the business to generate cash is, of course, absolutely crucial to both the business owners and all stakeholders in the business, and that includes any funders. The view of how strong, secure and maintainable cash generation is in a business will drive not only the amount of funding that is available, but the cost of it as well. Secondly, asset backing. Asset backing is another key factor, because assets can, of course, in different ways operate as a backup level of security to funding. And these can, of course, be buildings, they can be plant machinery, they can be stocks or inventories, and they can most certainly these days and for a long time now be the debtor book of the business, amounts owed by the customers of the business, because there is a very strong and stable and well-trodden funding sector, which is invoice discounting or factoring, taking security over the invoices raised by the business. The third area is slightly more generic, if you like, and that is sector or industry. Whether we like it or we do not, funders will take a different view of a business depending upon the sector it is in, because they will have a view of different sectors. Some funders will be completely uninterested or unable legally to fund certain sectors. So certain state-backed funds cannot provide funding to the property sector, for example, and funders will have a view of sectors, for example, sadly, retail, which is probably less favourable than a good number of other sectors. Fourth area, employment plans. Specifically, this relates to the fact that certain funders are focused on securing employment, protecting employment, and probably more importantly, growing employment levels. And therefore, if a business has plans to use the funding to provide more jobs, there are funds available which would otherwise not be. Fifth area, at the bottom of the diagram, exit plans. Why is the owner of a business's exit plans of interest to a funder? For a number of reasons, one of which is any funder needs to know who they're backing, which we'll come to in just a moment. Their interest in the cash a business generates is actually driven by the management team that they are backing with their funds to do this. And as part of that, related to it, if the business owner or owners are interested in exiting a business, and this is seen as having a potential impact on the management team, then that would be of a negative effect on funders. If, however, it was the case that there was a plan for an exit, but it was being done in a structured way with a management buyout type of transaction taking place, funders can, of course, be interested in funding the buyout itself as well as the business, which we cover in another webinar. Fifth item, growth plans. The stronger the growth from the business that is believed in, and of course everyone can have growth plans that show their business doing this and taking off over a period of time. But if it is actually a believable growth plan, then funders are obviously more comfortable with the prospect of funding the business. Business location is a slightly odd one on the face of it, as the 7th item. Business location is relevant because there are certain funders that who have funds available for certain parts of the country. So there are various of these. There's Northern Powerhouse across the north of England. There is Merseyside Special Investment Fund, or MSIF, on Merseyside. There are Greater Manchester funds available, etc., etc. So therefore, the location of the business is important, and it is possible for the right funding. And we have seen situations where businesses have actually relocated in order to be eligible for a funding driven by a particular geography. And the 8th item, finally, and certainly not least of all, in fact, it's probably the most important of all, is management. As I mentioned earlier, funders are completely focused on backing the management team. Even if they have asset backing for their funding, even if they believe the cash generation is strong, they will only believe those things if they believe the management team can actually produce that situation. So as I've heard it described by equity investors or funders in the past, there are 3 things that we are interested in when we back a business. 1, management. 2, management. And 3, management. It's an exaggeration, obviously, as these things are, but there is a core message in there which is of crucial importance. So hopefully that has been a useful quick run through our view of fundability, and hopefully you found the webinar of interest. Thanks for watching, and above all else, take care.